Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to another painting stream. Yay, it's Friday. Good morning Pi, good morning Jen. Thank you so much for joining me. I am excited about today. Today is something new. I am going to be trying to stick to a schedule. As we know, I have been streaming every day from Sunday until now. Going forward, Sundays are optional. I may not be streaming every Sunday. In fact, this coming Sunday is Easter. I might well stream during Easter. Easter has no particular significance for me. I mean, I'm happy for people who are enjoying their Easter and doing egg stuff and eating lots of candy and celebrating zombie Jesus. It's cool. It's definitely cool. But it's not necessarily anything interesting to me. Yes, the bot says, good morning, Pi. For me, next Sunday is mostly an available day. Amanda and I might want to spend some time together just doing married people stuff, in which case I would not be streaming because this is not a space conducive to Amanda hanging out with me. I'm kind of in a corner, in a nook here, and she wouldn't really be able to easily hang out with me while I was painting, and that seems less than optimal. It's not been great on Tuesday and Wednesday. I didn't get to spend as much time with Amanda, but I got to spend time with you folks, and that was cool. Anyhow, going forward, Sundays are going to be something that I'm not always going to be doing. Apparently, Pi is going to be streaming on Sunday the 11th. Pi, what is your schedule for Waffle-Rama on Sunday the 11th? Because I definitely want to tune into that, and I'll probably make waffles myself. I'll make sympathetic waffles remotely. Ah, coffee. 3 p.m. until done waffling. So I could even stream in the morning on that Sunday the 11th. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Amanda and I might be trying to get a car. We were thinking about going this Sunday to try and buy a car, and then, oh yeah, Easter. Maybe not. I do need a new car. Well, a new used car. We're looking at like 2016, 2017 cars, but something with less than 100,000 miles and a working carburetor would be nice. Anyways, I have been streaming every day, starting at about 10 o'clock ish, and painting minis. And I am going to try and roll out this thing which we're doing today, which is Finishing Friday, where I take some of the models that I've been putting paint on during the course of the week, anything that I've got a finished base coat on, and we're going to try and move those from the mostly done to the, we're going to call it done phase, which means we're going to be doing a wash, we're going to be doing some edging, some dry brushing. We're just going to try and polish them up, just do those little details that push them over the edge from looking pretty darn good to basically I am done and we're not going to touch them anymore. So that's my goal for today, and I want to try and do this every Friday. So Fridays are going to be a special stream with Finishing Fridays. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. We all know how flighty and lazy I can be, but so far this has been a lot of fun, and I look forward every day to hanging out with you folks and getting some painting done. So that's been excellent, and I really hope that this is something I can stick to, because not only is it a lot of fun to hang out with you folks, but we're getting stuff done. We're finishing models. We're going to bring them to the store. People will be able to play with these models at some point in the future when I'm finished with all this terrain and the rest of the figures. Maybe a couple of months? I don't know. I'm not good at budgeting time, but I'm getting a lot more done now than I was before. Might go a little bit longer today than I did yesterday. Amanda doesn't get home until 1 o'clock, so I've got some free time. Let's see what we can do. To start out with, I want to do a couple more base coat details on two of these models. So this model here is the one that we sort of left yesterday not having completed. We want to get the last of these bits here with that red paint to make them really pop. It looks so good like that, don't you think? So we're going to do that on this. And I'm going to do a little... So we did this marbling technique experiment the other day, and I'm mostly satisfied with it. So we're going to do that here, just because it's a larger piece of ceramic or of broken masonry, and we want that marbling look to it. And then we can get to doing a wash. So let's start with this piece here. Put all these back here. Depending on how long this takes me, and like I said, I'm not good with time, but depending on how long this takes me, I may do some washes on some of the figures that I've got completed base coats on. We'll see what we have time for today. So I mentioned yesterday that I set that new, over there, that new follower goal. It's right there. Hopefully, we'll see some new folks in chat today. That would be cool. And work our way towards our April follower goal. Trying for 30 followers by the end of April. I mean, we got 4 new followers on Thursday, or no, on Wednesday. And that was spectacular and pushed us over our March goal pretty quickly. 4 followers in one day, I think, is an exception. I don't have a massive friend base to call upon for this. So I feel like a lot of the folks who are in my immediate orbit who would be inclined to follow me on a Twitch stream already have. So I anticipate followers slowing down a little bit unless somehow we start garnering attention from folks outside of my small number of friends. Which is fine. If we get to that elusive 50 mark, which is a ways down the road, that's when we can move towards affiliate. And I can start rolling out some of the cool bits for this stream, like sub badges and emotes and other things, secret plans that I have. But I don't have to worry about that quite yet. So it's definitely a down the line sort of thing. Oh, thanks, Pi. Putting a link in the Pi Palace. For anybody checking this out in the VOD who is not in chat right now, because I suspect everybody who's in chat right now is already a follower for Pi, definitely check out twitch.tv/insidiouspi, because she's an awesome person and she does very entertaining streams. She does Jackbox games, which are always fun. She's very inclusive, which I aspire to. She does video game streams, primarily Kingdom Hearts these days, which is also a lot of fun to watch. But she also did a bunch of, I don't know what you call them, puzzle games for kids. She did the Freddy Fish stuff, which was pretty hilarious to watch. It shouldn't take me too long to get these done. Making progress already. Oops, smooched that. Already getting paint on my fingers. It's a good start to the stream. Yes, yes. So I'll put this to the two of you who are regular stream viewers and participants. What features do you wish that I had in my stream that I don't yet? Aside from stuff that requires affiliate. Like, I can tweak my Twitch bot to do stuff. I already mentioned the fact that it has that gardening game in there. And I've got my you can collect seeds by viewing and participating in my Twitch chat. What should I do with those seeds, that Twitch currency that my channel has? I will probably post pictures of some of these finished things once we're done today. And we've moved a couple of these from the in progress to the done category, which is what Finishing Friday is all about. I'll probably post some pictures of those in your Fridge community, or your Fridge channel in your Discord. I'll say my Discord is very bare bones right now, mostly because my channel is very bare bones right now. Just now noticing this little tiny piece here, right there. That should be in the brass color. We'll come back and touch that up before we do a wash on this piece. It's true, there's not a lot of bells and whistles to my channel. Partially because this is intended to be a very chill quiet, restful place to hang out. I appreciate the joyful chaos, for example, of Andrew's 10 Rabid Bears streams, but that's not really the vibe I'm trying to go for here. Those streams are hilarious and so much fun to be a part of, especially his Jackbox streams. But I very much doubt you will ever hear a deafening Leroy Jenkins from my channel. It's just not my vibe. I might do rare, longer streams. Right now, we're doing 2 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, and that's getting a fair amount done, which is nice. But I might expand and do periodic, not regular, but periodic, longer streams. I appreciate that. Zen is definitely something that I'm going for. Last couple of streams I've realized I've left the music where it is right now on the music I'm using for my going live screen, which is Miracle of Sound's instrumental album. Incredibly chill. Just so intensely chill. It's just sort of soundscapes inspired by video games. And I love it for that intro screen, but maybe I should play some actual songs in the background, so if I get quiet, you guys have something else to listen to. Done with this. Do a little bit of marble technique, which you'll recall is just mashing paint around with a tiny sponge to make some of the bits of masonry on these pieces look a little bit like marble instead of just plain white. And then we'll start doing some washes. Excited.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna get some scorpion brass and just do a couple of tiny touch-ups on this thing. And then this piece is ready for a wash. Brass scorpion. There we go. Just the tiniest little touch-ups. There. Edge of this. This. A little bit here. There we go. Lovely. Okay. Now we'll let that dry for a little bit. Let's do a tiny bit of marbling. For that, we're going to use a tiny blep of this Castle Gray. Oh, come on. Too thin, too watery. There we go. Just a tiny blep of that. And a tiny blep of Vallejo Off-White. Doesn't take much. And we're just going to make some random lines on here. Don't want them to be too regular. Go. Mash them around with the sponge a little bit to make them less sharp and more marbly. Marbly. That's an idea. Looks messy, but then marble is not a regular surface. It is an irregular surface and should look a little bit messy. I'll do this little piece here as well. And then it's time, folks. It's time to bring on the wash. appear to have gotten a tiny bit of red paint there. Didn't intend to do that. Just cover it up. There. Problem solved. Alright. So, this piece needs to dry. This piece needs to dry a little bit. Let's start with the big piece. That's the big one that's got the most detail on it. We're just using Nuln Oil. This is the most popular wash. It's going to make it look sort of brown, or sort of dirty. It's going to make it look kind of just dirty. It's going to tone it down a notch, and it's going to bring out the detail. So the idea behind the wash is it is a very, very liquid paint. It is very watered down. I'm going to use this brush. This brush is an old medium glaze brush that I have, and it's not in very good shape. You can see it's all mangled. Like, look at that brush. It has seen better days. But that's fine, because you do not need a great deal of precision with a wash. So the idea behind the wash is it's going to get down into the cracks and crevices of the model. Let's start with this skeleton, for example. So right now, it's got a lot of just skeleton bony look to it. Look at these feet here and watch the difference when I attack them with the wash. So you're going to sort of just blep it on there, and then you want to get it down into the cracks and crevices of the model. And instantly, it's making those look more interesting. Really, a wash is just such a miracle. And it's so easy. Like, this is not a difficult technique. You're just sort of brushing it on. The only thing you're really doing is pushing the wash around a little bit, because you don't want too much of it on the highlights. It's going to make everything look darker, which is fine. I think I talked on stream way back a few days ago about the idea that when you put your base coat on, you want to choose colors that are brighter than you want the model to ultimately look. Because when you do your wash, look at this. Look. Oh, it's so easy and so satisfying. When you do your wash, it's going to tone the model down a level. So it'll look less garish, less bright. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Man, I love this. There, compare that to that. You can see how the detail just leaps out. The one thing I've learned with washes, though, is you don't want to go too heavy with them. If you get too much on the model, it can end up looking a little glossy, and it makes the model look more plastic. It makes the model look fake. which is not what I'm going for. I should have done an extra layer on this skull. Some brush strokes in there. Okay. That's fine. You'll notice I'm not cleaning my brush much. It's partially because this brush is already destroyed, so I don't care if it dies a little bit. And partially because the wash is so wet to start with, you don't need to water it down that much more. So right here, along this crease, you can see a little bit of gray right here. So I'm going to try and get some wash down in there to obscure that. This is what I was talking about how the wash gets into the crevices. So if you have places where the blending between colors is not to your satisfaction, the wash will obscure that. Yeah, it's pretty dark there. I'm actually going to try and wick some of that away. There we go. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Okay, let's see how it works on this bark texture here. So right now, it's very monocolored, without much texture to it. But when you put the wash in, again, it gets into those cracks and crevices and just brings it to life. So I'm going to go a little bit faster now that we've done that skeleton, which is sort of the focal point of this model. We're going to mash some of this on here. I'm going to get into all these little crevices in the model. Doesn't end up looking shiny and glossy in the end. Oh, that's nice. What I don't want is bubbles. Not a fan of bubbles in my paint. So you can see why at the store we go through a lot of Nuln Oil. It's our most popular paint. It's because you need a lot of it when you're doing a wash on a model. You don't want to be too sparing with it, and it's easy to use a lot quickly. I'm actually going to be purchasing a very, very large pot of dark color wash from Army Painter that I have at the store, specifically for some of the larger terrain pieces that we're working on. because this little bottle of Nuln Oil that I have is not going to last a terribly long time. Yeah, my paint water is just looking sort of pinkish, because we've only really used the red that we were using on that one model. Okay, I'm putting quite a lot in there because I want to get a good contrast around that piece there. My hands are going to get some paint on them today. That's just inevitable, but fine. So compare and contrast. This area here, where I've done the wash, too much. Let's wick some of that away. But yeah, this side here, I've done the wash. This side here, I haven't. And you see how very bright that is, and how much more texture there is on this side. That's the wash doing its job. This is always, for me, one of the most satisfying parts of painting a model. Because it's sort of the fruition of your hard work. You've done all that detail work. You've got the different colors on the model. And this is where it starts to come together. Stops looking too cartoonish and starts looking like a finished piece. See, there's like little nicks in the wood that are part of the sculpt. I want to get the wash into those, bring them out. Once we're done with doing washes, I can go in and do some dry brushing and edging and add that extra touch. real danger of actually using up this entire pot of Nuln Oil today, which is fine. This is why I wanted a brush that's not in great shape, because I do, when I'm doing a wash, try and like mash it into some of the corners and nooks, and it's not good for the brush. So using a brush like this that's already fairly abused is fine. So easy, so quick, and so satisfying. This is why I wanted to make my Fridays a special thing. Is that this is the celebratory work you do at the end of your model painting. Way too much on the ends of these stakes, but that's fine, because then I can just wick it away by drying my brush like that, and it still gets down into those little nooks, little crevices. I'm largely going against the grain of any details I want the wash to go into. So the wash does a couple of things. It gives a single tone to the whole piece. There's a number of different colors of wash you can use. Obviously, Nuln Oil is the most popular, but we also have blues and greens, sepias, and what the wash does in addition to bringing out the detail is makes the piece a more cohesive whole. because everything is going to have a bit of the same shade to it. In this case, it's just a patina, just a universal sort of grime. And that's going to make the piece look a little more lived in, a little more gritty. Bubble in it. That's disappointing. It dried before I could get rid of it. By now I'm craving waffles, having thought about your waffle stream. I have a single leftover waffle from the last time I made waffles in the fridge. I don't get a chance to make more waffles until Sunday because tomorrow I have to be at work quite early. Well, I say quite early. I have to be at work by 10 o'clock, which is the earliest that in these days Battleground is opening. Even in pre-pandemic days, on weekdays we opened at noon. But right now we're opening at 3 on weekdays due to pandemic staffing levels. And Sundays are, I think the other 2 locations are still opening at noon on Sundays, but Abington opens at 10 on Sundays, Saturdays. So I have to be at the store at 10 o'clock tomorrow, which means no waffles tomorrow. But I can make waffles on Sunday. Easter waffles. I want you folks to notice on these skulls how the wash makes a difference. We talked about the fact that the skeleton bone I use for the skulls is a slightly goopy, thick paint, and it gets into the cracks a bit. But here, when I apply the wash to it, it really quickly brings out the detail on the sculpt. Like, look at these two little skulls here. They look kind of plain. But when I put the wash on, suddenly you can see the eye sockets are a little more defined, the nose, the teeth, the whole skull is suddenly much more detailed. And it's just from getting some paint into those little details. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need a very, very large pot of wash for the larger terrain pieces. This is the largest of the small terrain pieces for Warcry. So in that regard, it's good practice. Part of the reason I started with the small pieces was so that I could sort of establish a color palette. I figured if I chose colors poorly and decided that I wanted to change out, there's less area to repaint. And part of it was I just wanted the satisfaction of having completed models. When we get to the bigger pieces, which I'll probably have to start on next week, it's going to take me longer per model to get them done. And I like the endorphin rush of finishing something, of saying, okay, I've done all the damage I can do on this piece. Let's call it done. Again, part of my plans are to do this finishing Friday as a regular, recurring thing. So I'll spend the week putting a base coat on something, and then on Friday we'll do the wash and the edges, and we'll get that rush right at the end of the week. We'll get that satisfaction of having completed something. So this marbling that I won't say I agonized over it, but I wasn't completely satisfied with the way it came out. Because it's messy, and it's random, and it just looks like paint slapped on a model, which is what it is, like random paint put onto the model. So my hope is that with this wash, unifying everything, it'll be more subtle and more natural, and it seems to be working all right. Wash getting in there. Almost. I think we're probably 3/4 of the way through this piece. And this was the largest piece we were going to have to do a wash on today, so that's satisfying. you want to be kind of uniform, because the areas that don't have wash on them are going to be glaringly obvious. I've experimented on some models with doing different color washes for different parts of the model to give them different hues. It works if you're really trying to make something stand out and look different. But again, the whole notion of the piece coming together as a uniform single entity is somewhat defeated by that. But if you've got a piece of the model that you really want to highlight as being different, then using a different hue of wash on it is a way to do that. Alright, I think that's everything on this model. Let's look. So now, of course, in contrast to the way it started when it was cartoonishly bright, now it's almost too dark. We'll be working on that as soon as that's dry. In the meantime, drink some coffee and let's work on the rest of these. 5 more to go. Slightly cold coffee, but coffee nonetheless. This one's got 2 skeletons on it. Gonna try and go a little faster. When we get to the large terrain pieces, I'm gonna have to go much faster. So I need to practice a little faster. And when you're doing a wash and precision is not your watchword, it's okay to be a little bit quicker. Really, really love how getting the washing to the rib cage here gives so much definition to the model. It's fine. want to try a technique on these chains. We'll get to that hopefully later today. Again, learning new techniques, part of what this stream is all about. But I want to give them a slightly rusted, weathered look. So that's going to be something fun to play with in a few minutes. I think the most dramatic area for these washes is the skeletons, definitely. They go from being very kind of flat and lifeless to much more detailed. And it's almost no effort. Just boom, there we go. Suddenly skeleton. Still mystified by the teeth that are carved into the stonework. Why? What's the story? Excuse me. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So I know I said at the start of this stream that I personally have no particular Easter plans because I'm not a particularly religious person and not participating in any Easter stuff. Partially due to pandemic. For the second Easter in a row, not getting together with Amanda's family, and we're not having a big Easter dinner, which used to be a really fun thing to be able to do, but nowadays is not something we can do, at least until we're all fully vaccinated. But do folks in chat have any Easter plans? Is anybody doing anything cool? Cooking anything nifty? Getting to see friends and or family? Okay. Phone date sounds fun. Amanda bought us a honey ham. An enormous honey ham that will feed us for a week. So I guess we're gonna be cooking that. It was on sale. So that's something. I do miss fun family dinners. Someday, we'll get back to being able to do those. Not too far off. Both of Amanda's parents are now fully vaccinated, as I've said. And Amanda and I are inching closer. By the end of the month, we'll both have gotten both shots. So, progress. There. Okay. Wash done on the second piece. Let that dry. Trying not to leave fingerprints. Trying to push the wash around a little bit to get it where I want it to go. You know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to being able to open the windows in this room, let some air in, and have it be a little more spring-like. I can hear the birds in the background. I wonder if we're one of the neighborhoods that will have a lot of cicadas this summer. It's like the 17 years cicada attack is supposed to be this year. So we might get some noise in the background. Who knows? There we go. Love doing a wash. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to try and get these last 3 pieces with the wash. And then we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to do some edging and detail work. So we are going to go past the noon mark, probably. But I want to actually finish some pieces. And we're so tantalizingly close. Can I finish 3 more pieces, get the wash on 3 more pieces by noon? And then we'll take a short break and then work on fine detail, edging, weathering, that sort of stuff, until about 1 o'clock. I think that's doable. It would mean that this week, over the course of this stream, we have done 6 pieces of small terrain. I think for next week, we're going to have to set our goal to perhaps 2 or 3 pieces of large terrain. I'm going to have to go significantly faster. We'll see if I can do that. I don't know how capable I am of going fast. I've never been a fast painter. I have to do a quick Google search. I'll do that during our downtime. I have to find out what corroded brass looks like. So these brass bits here do have a lot of cool little detail that I'm hoping this wash will catch. All these little pitted bits here. All these lines, these little I think I just lost a bristle of my brush. Oh, you poor abused brush. I have done you such harm. One thing I'm going to try to work on in a future stream, but as part of my painting streams, is I want to learn how to do non-metallic metals. Which is to say, this brass here, you can see, reflects the light as if it were a metal. It's a very glossy sort of paint. Non-metallic painting is taking something like this red here, or this brown, and making it look metallic by manually painting reflections onto it, or making it look like a reflective surface by painting in the contrast. It is one of those advanced painting techniques that I want to experiment with and see if I can do. So we'll, someday we'll find a model that I can do that on. Something subtle to start with, like I'm not going to do a suit of metallic armor as my first non-metallic metal. And choose something where it's not the entire model, but a detail that I'm trying to highlight. I don't think I'm going to be doing that on any of the Warcry terrain that I'm working on. I'm trying other techniques right now. But it's definitely a technique that I am curious about and want to experiment with. since part of the whole purpose of this stream is to learn new techniques. Try new things. Wash is working to highlight these pits and metallic bits here. I could go a little less aggressive with it. Lovely. New follow, Evil Gamer X. Welcome to the stream. Hello. I very much appreciate it. That brings us one follower closer to our April goal. As you can see, I am applying a very liberal wash to some of the Warcry terrain that I've been painting this week. What I've been doing, Evil Gamer X, is all week I've been doing base coats on these small Warcry terrain pieces. These are part of the store demo for the Abington location of Battleground Games and Hobbies. And now that I've got base coats done, it is Friday, so I'm doing Finishing Friday, where I'm trying to get washes and detail work done on these 6 pieces of terrain so that I can mark them off as done and move on to the next thing. Oh, Somerset Top, how's it going? Again, welcome, welcome. It is a sudden explosion of follows. I very much appreciate it. I was saying at the beginning of this stream how I was thinking my well of immediate circle friends was pretty much used up. I have a lot of friends who are not into streaming, don't watch Twitch streams, so they're not going to follow me. And that's fine. I'm not surprised. I am a little ancient, and a lot of my cohorts are not really into Twitch. So it's very gratifying to have some folks, some familiar names, showing up and following me now. It would be kind of hilarious if after all my agonizing about how high to set my April goal, we just completely destroyed it in the first few days of April. Oh, thank you. Yes, it is very peaceful, I hope. It is a relaxing, quiet place to hang out. I told Pi, I feel I'm inspired by her streams. I love the inclusivity of them. I love her community, and I aspire to such a community. Well, it's good that this works as work background, because the particular time schedule that I have chosen of 10 in the morning till noon Eastern Time is definitely a time when a lot of people have to be doing their day job. I have a couple of folks who follow me on Twitter and such who live in the UK, and for them this is 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Again, still during the working day, but perhaps a little easier to tune into? I'm not sure. Maybe at the end of your workday, you're trying to get more done just so that you can say you got stuff done before you go home. So you need to concentrate a little harder. So I don't know. I don't know if it's easier to watch a stream at the end of your workday or at the beginning of your workday. Okay, I think that's that piece done. 2 more. One of which is this itty bitty piece. It's so wee. Such a tiny piece. Keep hitting the camera with my head. I don't know how effective this piece of terrain would be as a barrier to movement. It being so tiny. I guess you could use it if you were setting up your table to block a gap. But it is very small. Novocaine, welcome! I was just saying that this was a stream that would be playing in the evening for folks in the UK. Well, not evening, but late afternoon at the 5 to or 3 to 5 sort of time block. I'm glad you could join me. Give me a second to finish the wash on this piece that I'm working on, and I'll show all of you folks who just tuned in the rest of the pieces. This is all small terrain pieces from Warcry that I'm working on here. Just want to get the other side of this itty bitty piece of terrain. love how the wash makes things like this runic scroll work, which was completely invisible before I started because it was white on white, just suddenly easy to see. Yeah, washes are amazing. That's why I decided to do washes today. I was like, it's the end of the week. I need to feel like I've gotten something done. I'm going to do washes on all the pieces I've done base coats on this week. And hopefully do some edging and other fine details as well. We're going to be experimenting in a moment. I want to try and do some rust type weathering on one of the models, which is something I've never really done. So it's going to be an experiment. And again, that's what this stream is about. It's new techniques, experimentation, learning how to get paint to behave in interesting ways. Novocaine, do you want to pop a link in chat showing off your lizard folk? Novocaine has been doing some painting of Age of Sigmar stuff as well, and posted a link in our Battleground Games live chat yesterday. But it was very, very cool. I don't know why I'm bothering to tip this brush when this brush is completely dead. This brush is decimated. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Lure and Tinker Tailor, so I appreciate the comparison. I don't have a Paul to run my tech, so it's just me switching between cameras and stuff. But I tried to get a good close-up view of the pieces as I work on them. I have watched a number of Cameron's painting streams. And again, very chill. I highly recommend, if you don't already follow Loading Ready Run, giving them a follow and checking out Tinker Tailor and especially Cam's painting streams, because they're so relaxing. Cameron is just one of those people I deeply respect. Intelligent, entertaining, and of course he's been working on his Sisters of Battle for ages. His particular paint scheme is strong on subtleties that don't necessarily come across on camera, I think. So he spends a lot of time doing small details that are obviously quite apparent to him, but less so to the viewer. But as a person who's very detail-oriented in my painting, I appreciate that too. You say that, Novocaine, that your painting progress is a tribute to being on lockdown for so long. But don't belittle it, because I too took home a bunch of models to paint while I was on lockdown, and I got almost nothing done. Like, it's kind of embarrassing how little painting I did. Well, I've been back at work since pretty much last June, I guess, because we were doing curbside pickup for a while, even while lockdown was still going on in the US. But I still had 2 months of complete lockdown where I didn't leave the apartment at all for 2 months. And in that time, I painted 3 minis, I think. I was working on my my Tau, and I got 3 minis painted. That's part of why I decided I wanted to do this stream, is I needed an excuse to get paint on models, and having folks hanging out in chat is making it a lot easier to get some painting done. Just because every day I get up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to do some painting today. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to talk to my chat, and I'm going to get paint on plastic. It's helped me enormously. Okay, so that is a wash applied quite liberally and quickly to all 6 of the tiny Warcry terrain pieces. Oh no, that's only the front side. I have to do the back side of this. That's fine, that's fine. I'm kind of accelerating because I want to be able to do more work today. I want to be able to do some detail and some texture and stuff. So I want to finish with these washes, give them a moment to dry. Only problem with trying to go too fast on a wash is the paint is so watery. You run the risk of beating air into it and making bubbles. And bubbles do not look good on a model. They'll burst, and then you'll have these little circles. Little dark circles like coffee stains on the model. Doesn't look great. as I'm being a little quieter now. Looks like you folks are chatting well. I'm just trying to go fast because I want to do more. This is my problem. So I'm always ambitious beyond my capabilities. I often am a poor judge of how long something's going to take. Not good with time. I set myself a goal today. I want to finish a few of these pieces, like done. I just have to go fast enough that I can achieve that goal to a certain degree. I talked yesterday about the fact that you're never really done with a model unless it's like a commission work or something that you have to sell or give away. As long as it's in your possession, there's always the option of going back and updating it, adding detail as you pick up new techniques. But I want to at least be satisfied that these pieces are table ready. Okay. So, I believe I have sufficiently put a wash on all 6 of these pieces. Let's take a quick look at them, and then I'm going to take a short break. Everybody stretch, relax, get yourself a drink, empty yourself, do whatever you need to do. And when we return, I'm going to do some edging, some highlighting. But let's look at these pieces. So this is the biggest piece. Again, looks very dark, very dirty right now. But I'm pretty happy with the way that the wash brought everything together. Made all the pieces more distinct and interesting. We've got this little piece here. This one. Very simple. This one here, I want to do something interesting with these that I've painted in this scorpion brass. I want to do something to make them pop. It's a bitty piece, so very tiny. And then this piece that I just finished just now. So we'll let those dry for a moment. I'm going to refresh my coffee mug and take a very short break. When we return, we're going to, do some edging. We'll do some dry brushing. We'll try some weathering techniques. Making progress today. So we will be right back.
So sturdy and so stout. When the day is done, when it's time for fun, we'll drink and sing and shout. You weak-livered milk drinkers can let your throats run dry. 'Cause there's just one drink that we will sink until the day we die. Drinking mead in the halls of Whiterun, the maidens and the men. We swig our brew until we spew, then we fill our mugs again. You can keep your filthy skooma, it makes our bellies bleed. 'Cause when we raise our flag into another dead dragon, there is just one drink we need, Nord mead. Nord mead. Chug a mug of mead and another mug of mead, chug another mug of mead till you fall down. Chug a mug of mead and another mug of mead, chug another mug of mead, Maria. After the long hard days of hunting and of war, our throats are tired and thirsty and our bodies drenched in gore. But we won't waste our evenings feeling tired and feeling spent. We perk right up when we breathe in that wholesome honey scent. That's iridyllic brandy, too fruity for these tongues. You can keep your fancy Alto wine, it tastes like Horker dung. Balmora Blue tastes great to you, but here we like it plain. Just fill my mug with a mighty jug of honey, heart and grey. Drinking mead in the halls of Whiterun, the maidens and the men. We swig our brew until we spew, then we fill our mugs again. You can keep your filthy skooma, it makes our bellies bleed. 'Cause when we raise our flag into another dead dragon, there is just one drink we need, Nord mead. Nord mead. Nord mead. And another mug of mead, and another mug of mead till you fall down. Nord mead. And another mug of mead, and another mug of mead, warrior.
Have long been
Hey, I'm back. Oh, nope, I'm not back. Now I'm back. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Let's get back to it. I hope everybody had a good break, took care of your human bodies, and did whatever you needed to do. And now let's do some fine detail work. Let's really bring these models to life with just a little bit of extra. I'm gonna select a very fine brush. Alright, so I'm going to use my Wargamer detail brush. It's not the finest brush I have, but it's a little finer than my my regular brush. And we're going to do a little bit of interesting detail on this piece here. So the first thing I want to do, like I said, I want to experiment. I want to try something new. I want to do some corrosion, rust, and weathering on the chains on this thing to make them look a little bit weathered. What we're going to do is we're going to take this dry rust, Army Painter on dry rust, and we're going to very delicately dry brush it onto those chains, just to give a little bit of detail. Just a little extra. How are we doing for followers, by the way? Because I feel like today has been really good for followers. Up to 25. Good gracious. Today is April 2nd. I set a goal of 30 for April, and we're already halfway there. How did that happen? Got my detail brush. So this is a kind of bright orangey rust color. Be very sparing with it. But what we want to do is just touch it onto the model. I'm sort of getting most of the paint off the brush, so I'm picking up just a teeny bit, getting most of it off, and then I'm going to dry brush it on, and I'm going to make it look as if it's corrosion coming from these here. So just little drips of rust. That's perhaps a little bit too heavy, but that's cool. I can dab it away. There we go. Subtlety is the watchword here. We're not going for a bold statement. We're going for just, if you look at it out of the corner of your eye, it will do something extra to the model. Just very lightly dry brush it onto some of the other surfaces. Working well. Just dry brush and give it a patina. I don't want it to look orange. I just want it to look weathered and rusted.
just subtle enough, I think. Yeah. Pretty much. Exactly what I was going for. Oh man. Love it when something looks the way I hoped it would look. Sort of how I envisioned it in my mind. And that's a little heavy. Trick with dry brushing is that you're trying to get just a little paint on the model without actually painting it so much. It's just a thin layer just feathered on. And when you're doing something like this, which is intended to look like corrosion, it doesn't have to be consistent. Right? It can look blotchy, and that's going to be better. Oh man, I got too much paint on the brush there. It's okay, I can wick it away. Oh, this is so satisfying. Oh my goodness, I love it. Exactly the level of detail that I was going for here. A little bit does the trick. edges kind of works because those would be the most exposed portions, so they would be the most rusted and weathered. A little bit more paint there than I wanted for a sec. I like this because it's calling attention to these rivets without actually painting the rivets themselves. The implication is that there's just corrosion dripping down from them. So the advantage to doing terrain for me, Novocaine, is that because it is less central to the game, it gets less attention, and I can experiment with it without feeling like I'm taking too big a risk. Besides which, having good terrain, you can use that terrain for any game. You know, having a spectacularly well-painted army is great. But this is intended to be a store demo for the store I work at, Battleground Games and Hobbies in Abington. And my hope is that with this terrain, it will be brought to the table for a variety of games, not just for the Warcry demo, but for all sorts of Age of Sigmar and maybe some regular Warhammer. It's just going to be something that everybody can use. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how that rust weathering came out. Adds a little detail there. Cool. Alright, let's move on to the skeletons. They're sort of the focal point of all of these pieces are the skeletons here. So I want to draw the eye to them. I'm going to add some highlights in Mummy Robe, which is a sort of tannish white. I need to be really careful with this because I don't want it to be glaring. I just want it to be highlights. There is a dappled, speckled mess here. That's from the wash, just spraying as I applied it. Okay. Gotta be careful here. Start with one of these skulls down here. I'm gonna do this as if it's light sourcing. So I'm gonna do it all from one angle. Just gonna be feathering it on. It's very subtle. Edges to bring out the detail. That's pretty much what I'm going for. I'm using a very fine brush here. Normally with dry brushing you would use a stiffer, wider brush. Oops, that's way more paint than I intended to get there. The trick here is I don't want to get the paint into the crevices in the model that I just filled with a wash. I want to just glide across the edges. Should perhaps use a different brush for this. This worked well for the corrosion, but it's not working perfectly for this. So I'm going to switch up brushes. Hang on a moment. Always wash your brush thoroughly. I told the story about painting with a brush that I thought was completely dead one day until a big glop of paint came oozing out of the brush. Alright, let's grab a small dry brush. Okay. This is a Wargamer small dry brush. So, sort of intended for this. You can see it's got an angled tip. It's a little bit stiffer. So you get just a little paint, and then you make it less paint. And let's see if I can delicately put that on here. Is it too subtle? Nah. I think I know it's there. And really it's just about that little extra pop to make the contrasts more contrasty.
The flowers gold will softly sway to reunite the lost and lead us on our way.
Honestly, these skeletons look pretty good already.
Will light my face. The river's current flows inside each act of grace. Walk the garden, breathe the
Just with the base coat and the
Take
oops,
this moment just to
and the wash. But anything I can do to
my tiny
bring them a little bit more to life.
paradise, a
this is actually helping or what or not.
comes to be, will I remain inside?
The rust really worked. Let's do something with this marble here. I'm going to use off-white, which is actually a quite brilliant white. We're going to have to be very careful here. This is where it gets tricky on a model. Because I've done the wash, and I don't want to undo that. And you don't want to mess with things too much. So what I'm trying to do is just give an edge to this. There we go. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. That's just exactly what I was going for. I don't even know if it'll come across on camera because it's such a delicate edge that I'm trying to do here. Some very subtle little lines. Don't want too much paint on the brush. That's what I'm going for. Delicate little details. Cool. A little watery. A little bit more than I really want. Smash cut to a bleach white Scott. Cool. Cool technology. I'm trying to do it as if the light is coming from this side here. So trying to edge the bits that would be hit by a light from that side. I am not familiar with scale 75 paints, no. I'm always interested in new paints though. I primarily use Army Paint and Vallejo, with a little bit of work with Citadel paints for the metallics. I'm gonna grab some cork brown and touch up the points on these stakes. Quite as subtle as I was going for, but it's fine. Everything's fine. A little more paint on the brush than I really needed. Cool. Alright, I'm going to say that piece is done. And move it to the done pile. Then I talked about giving a corroded look to the brass bits here that I've painted with the Scorpion brass. While I was on break, I Googled some brass corrosion, and it's got a lot of green and white in it, and it looks kind of mottled and cool. So we're gonna try and do something like that to these. I need a light green. What have I got? Got a pale blue. Might be too light. I've got this is a WizKids Goblin Green. It's a little dark. Hang on a second. I bought myself a couple of these giant WizKids paint boxes. And they have a variety of different colors. Looking for kind of brightish green. We're going to try this Scorpion Green from WizKids. Checking out that link Arcane. Alchemy series. Does look nice. My wife has a couple of iridescent, opaly type paints. Okay, this is a quite bright green, yellowish green. So again, subtlety. Gonna want to be careful about applying this. Not subtle enough. And feather it on. That's fine, as long as it's modeled.
Wood and stone, the distant call of home, so far yet always with us, inside our hearts and bones. So soft the call of home.
You're a sucker for new paints. One thing that I've been trying to get into the store are the Vallejo line of technicals. They have a lot of sort of paints that are meant to look like oils and corrosion and stuff like that. What do you think, folks? Compare that with that. Is that subtle enough? Is it too glaring? I think I like it. I think it's what I was going for. Give some personality to the model, really. You don't want it to look too pristine. Also don't want to put cat hairs on the model. It's a danger to living in a house with cats. little bit aged and dirty, a little corroded, rotted. That's what I'm going for here. There's all these little pitted bits that are sculpted in. Bring some highlight to that. Makes it look a little more interesting. I got paint right down into the brush there, didn't I? Let's give it a touch of that cork on the spikes.
In the sodden snow of the Irish hills was born a Tuatha's child, with a fighting heart and a mortal skill and a spirit fiery and wild. Through a prophecy he was bound and doomed to a short and a glorious life, and he bore the name Setanta till a famous faithful knight. With his hurley in his hands, his name would cross the land.
Let's give it a little bit of an edge there. And then masonry. This is where I have to be most delicate, I feel. I don't want to make this too obvious, isn't it? It's a pretty bright paint, this white here. Doesn't show up very brightly.
In the home of Cullen the smith sat down for meat and mutton and bread. At the door lay the clue, the faithful hound, a huge and terrible beast. When a thief or enemy trod his ground, their bones became his feast. Once a Tanta joined them late at
That's fine.
night, and the hound had leapt to shred. But he raised his hurley, poked the ball right through the poor beast's head. He spoke remorse as the smithy cried for his lost and murdered hound. I will be your coup now from
There we
this
go. That's what I'm going for.
another you have found. So he lay outside the door when I watched him on the moors, and the name
Perfect.
was sung out loud that night in a tale of rage and ruin and of might. And the name Cuchulainn, so furious and wild, to remain in myth and memory, a legend of the Isle.
This is so satisfying, folks. Just these little fine details. Let's get some mummy robe for the skeletons. That's a little more than I intended to do there. That's fine. I'm gonna move that to the done pile. Done. Let's do another one. Cool, cool, yes.
Cuchulainn tore his castle down and left the whole place
Some green,
dead. They loved each other,
but not too much at all.
despite his many affairs. And then he met the Morrigan, turned her down, and earned her vengeful glare. She weakened him.
That's too watery. Too watery.
And lies by feeding him the flesh of dogs. 3 crones were her disguise. The Queen and Lugan saw their chance to fight the coup and win. When he battled next, 3 spears were thrown and one tore through his skin. So he tied himself to a mighty stone by his guts and belt he hung. And so he still stood on his feet till the last breath left his lungs. And the light shone out so grand till the raven came to land. And the name Cuchulainn was sung out loud that night.
For these last fine details, it's almost, you don't want them to be noticeable. You want it to be almost a subconscious thing. Somebody looks at it and they don't realize that corrosion is there. It's just sort of subtly drawing their eye and giving an impression without blatantly. Oh, see, that's too dark or too bright, too much. It's not what I'm going for here. It's okay. It's okay. Just brush it away. Fine. yeah. Cool. Well, friends, it's getting to the end of the time that I had allotted for today. We are moving in on 1 o'clock, so I think I'm going to start to wrap things up here. This was spectacular. I am so pleased with the progress that we made today, with the folks who visited. I'm so pleased with the community that we are building here. You folks are all wonderful, and I really appreciate you tuning in today. We got 3 models pretty much locked. 3 models close to done. We've got the wash done on 3 models, and 3 models wash and detail work. So I'm going to call that a win. For next week, we're going to start working on some of the much larger terrain pieces for Warcry, which is going to be a challenge for me, being as I am a very slow, detail-oriented, methodical painter. I'm not used to working with larger surfaces, so that's going to be a challenge for me, and I appreciate a challenge. I think you know that about me. So next Monday, possibly Sunday, I don't know if I'm going to do a Sunday stream or not. I may take Sunday off. Tomorrow I'm definitely not streaming because I have to be at work tomorrow. But possibly Sunday, more likely Monday, we will be back and we will start work on, I'm going to do these 2 pieces next week, hopefully. This piece here with the bell and all these skeletons. I started work on these skeletons yesterday because I had some leftover skeleton bone and we wanted to use it before it dried on the pallet. So we've got this big piece here with the stairs and the bell and the skeletons, and we've got this cool piece here, which I'm really looking forward to painting with this stone head here. I'm going to give that some cool details, and then just stairs and a bunch more of those spikes. So those are going to be lots of fun to paint, but like I said, compare this, the largest piece that we've painted so far, with this, which is one of the smallest pieces of the large pieces of terrain. It's going to take me some time to get these done.
But hopefully, I will have folks hanging out in chat with me. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I had a terrific time. I hope you folks enjoyed it too. Novocaine, I am so glad that you showed up. I'm going to definitely think about getting some of those cool metallic alchemist technical paints. They look awesome. And we will be back possibly Sunday, definitely Monday. Keep an eye on all those things below, Twitter, YouTube. I have my Discord link down there. That's where I will be posting things. Thank you very much, Novocaine. I had a lot of fun. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you, Lobster. Yep, I will see you tonight on Amanda's stream over at Merriam and Lion, where she will be reading some more. Have a pleasant evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. And be excellent to each other and enjoy doing whatever art you're doing.